What's up, everyone? Normal Christians Podcast. My name is Bo. As always, I reserve the right to get smarter. And this is a little bit of a different episode because I am recording this episode on the road. And this episode, I'm recording it while I'm in Brazil, specifically in Rio, at Copacabana, the beach. As a matter of fact, at my hotel right now, I am looking out on the beach. I got upgraded to a nice ocean view room. Way to go, points. And all that, and the JW Marriott here right in front of the beach. So none of that place is not sponsoring me. No one's sponsoring me, but they get a shout out because it was nice of them to do that. They didn't have to do all that. But that's probably why I sound a little bit different, because I'm recording this on my phone. Don't really have any of the stuff that I usually record with. Not that my sound's been that great anyway. I'm working on that. But that's all a different story. Anyway, I've just been sitting here. My trip's winding down, and today is my last day here in Rio. Tomorrow, I head to Sao Paulo before eventually coming home and ending this part of my travels. And, I'm sitting here just in the hotel, 15th floor, watching all kinds of things happen on the beach. You obviously have all the beach people laying out, getting some sun out in the water. But the thing about Copacabana, this beach, it's so active. I mean, there's so many sports happening, whether it's soccer on the beach, volleyball, obviously. Volleyball where you don't use your hands. It's actually like soccer where you've got to kick it and all that. I don't even know what to call it. Soccer or volleyball? It's actually really impressive. I'm not sure how they do it. It's incredible. You can't use your hands. You have to kick it from the serve to, you could use your body and your head. But anyway, I'm spiraling. But I've watched a few games, and it's just incredible. I mean, I'm watching some happen right now. I don't know how they do this. I saw some ping pong with your feet like soccer. I don't know what to call that either, but just absolutely fascinating. I've walked up and down the beach, and there's so much going on with music and activity. There's all kinds of workout places. I have some people working out in front of me, and obviously a lot of people are trying to sell things. So just a really great area, in my opinion. I've enjoyed it. The beach is a little bit dirty, unfortunately, because of how people don't care about it, I guess, as much while they do some of their things. So their trash or their cigarette butts or whatever. And it's a little tough when you're sitting on the beach because people are trying to constantly sell you some stuff. So, I mean, pros and cons, but man, it is beautiful. It is a beautiful area. And really none of this has anything to do with this episode. I'm looking out and I'm just loving what I'm seeing. Love this view. It's going to be tough to go back to Colorado, which also has beautiful views, but I'm a beach person. So this is more my speed. But I thought I wanted to make this episode because as this trip winds down, I'm always about what can I learn, different perspectives that I gain thinking about. And also while I've been on vacation, traveling, hitting up some different countries, all the stuff with Afghanistan has been happening, which is just terrible and so sad. I'm recording this after the suicide bombing killed the servicemen, and more than that, about, close to 200 Afghani citizens and people. It's just terrible stuff. So you may be wondering, this is an interesting connection, Bo, talking about Afghanistan and your vacation in Brazil and these other countries. I'm interested to see how we connect those. And there is a little bit of a connection point between even something like what's happening in Afghanistan and all the travels I've been doing and all the experiences I've been having. And that is that, man, as I come to the end of this, it just reminds me how truly blessed I am to be an American and to live in America. And here's what I mean by that. Really, I think we just take for granted so much of what we have in America, in the United States, and just that sort of stuff. It's just we take it for granted, and I'm constantly reminded and gain that fresh perspective every time I leave the country and go to different areas. It doesn't mean that there aren't great places. I mean, I think I'm at a great place. Again, I think it's beautiful. I love looking up and down. I could see both ends of the beach, and it's a pretty long beach, but my hotel's situated kind of in the middle. And I could see both ends of it, and just tons of people. Again, beautiful water, lots of activity. It's great, but again, even in a place like this, I'm just reminded about, man, I'm blessed to be an American, to have lived in America and all that brings me, and stuff that I don't even have to worry about. And it's not just this trip. I remember during the pandemic, I just needed to get out. And so once it was a little bit safer, I took off and went to Cabo because I had some points and things were cheap. No one was traveling. So I stayed at this incredible hotel right on the beach, and each room had its own dip pool in it. And it was real nice. Probably couldn't have stayed there if it wasn't for the pandemic. But even whenever I was there, I remember I was driving into Cabo, because you have to fly into, I don't know, somewhere near Cabo, their international airport, whatever that is. And you have to drive specifically to Cabo San Lucas and all that. And I just remember this stark picture of, on one side of the road, you had the beaches, you had the shopping, you had all these beautiful hotels, all this money, all these things. And on the other side of the road, you had this area where it looked like it went on forever, but it was this huge area where people lived, and it wasn't houses. I mean, these people were living in cinder block, I guess we'll call them houses, but they were made of like cinder blocks, a lot of them, or other materials with different roofs. And it wasn't even just a small area. It was so many of these throughout this entire area where people were living. And I just thought, what a crazy contrast. Again, on one side of the road, it's like the haves. All the money, and let me put it on me too. That's where I was headed, to my nice resort on the beach. All the money, all the restaurants, all the entertainment, all that. And on the other side is just poverty. Just people living, again, just put up cinder blocks, and that's your house. And there really wasn't much more than that. It was crazy. And I was reminded of that whenever I was in Colombia. It's where the first part of my international trip was, where I stayed in the more historic area, which there's some history there. Obviously, it's called the historic area, but some history of why it took a turn from being a really nice area to still nice, but it's gone downhill and some different stuff. But I thought I was staying at what they consider a 2-star hotel, and oh boy, it was not much in the way of stars. I think we were being a little generous, but maybe it was a 2-star hotel for Colombia. I don't know. But again, this reminded me of, man, this in the States would not cut it. Now, I was only there for a night, so let me not talk about the huge burden I was bearing there. But it just, again, it had this spoiled aspect that we have, where something like that apparently was pretty decent conditions for people to stay in, at least in that area of Colombia. And I thought, this is rough. It seems like it's anything but that. And as I walked around, again, just, people doing things, people just trying to make a living. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the Ubers there were super affordable. It was some crazy surge pricing, and I took the price and converted it to dollars, and I thought, this is your surge pricing? Okay, man, phew. If I could get an Uber in the States for this price, in regular price, I would be happy. But it's just, again, it's kind of showing this idea of there's so much poverty. There's so much of a different way that people live in these areas. And then again, like Rio, where I'm at now, in Copacabana, you look, my hotel also has a rooftop pool. And isn't this fascinating, me talking about the condition of so many people as I talk about the rooftop pool that I have at my disposal, and the beachfront access, and the area of the beach reserved for the hotel. It's okay. You can call me a hypocrite. It's all good. But no, while I was at the rooftop pool overlooking different areas of Copacabana, again the beach, but other areas, I just looked at the city, and there's just so much dilapidation. And beachfront, it's kind of nice, a little bit nicer, but you look at other areas, even in a nice area like Copacabana, there's just, again, there's poverty, there's that dilapidation, there's some parts that I thought, man, if there was just money in this area and they could redo some stuff, it would be really nice. But again, even in a nice area like this, it's just completely different. And then, as I talked about, while I'm at the beach, I get a little frustrated because you're just trying to relax. I've got my headphones in, just trying to soak up the sun, hear the waves come in, enjoy all that. And people are all over the beach trying to sell things, whether it's sunscreen to liquor to, or not liquor, little drinks, or hats or blankets. I don't know, whatever it is. There's always someone trying to pawn something off, and they're just walking the beaches. They're coming up to you constantly while I was there. And I even with my headphones on, pointing at them that I couldn't hear them and hoping that would keep them away. It didn't. And I get frustrated. I go, come on, man, I'm just trying to relax. I'm just trying to enjoy my beach time. Can't you just leave me alone? But it made me think of when I was in Peru, because I went to Machu Picchu in Peru. I was talking to a guy, and I would tell you the city, but it's the little town, I shouldn't even say city, the little small town that you launch off to Machu Picchu that has the bus that takes you up to the Citadel is what it's called itself. And I got in a little bit later, so just had to go grab some food. Went into this restaurant, and I was the only person there. And I just wanted my food to go, so I was talking to what I believe was the owner. And he was telling me that with the pandemic and Machu Picchu, and specifically that little town being so dependent on tourism, how much it hurt them. And he was telling me that it just pretty much overnight got completely shut down. He was telling me about some French tourists who were there and who they got the word that, nope, they were there at that city. All they had to do was take the bus the next morning and they have seen Machu Picchu. And the government said, nope, don't get to do that. You have 3 days to get out the country. And they were sad and crying because that was a dream sort of trip and they weren't going to be able to do it. They were so close. But even more so with this guy, he said just pretty much overnight, he has this restaurant and there's nothing he can do. So good guy, because he gave his food away as much as he could. I mean, he saved some for his family, of course, but he tried to give his food away because it was going to go bad. And then he realized, I don't have a way to make money. I don't have a way to make a living, and we don't know how long this is going to continue. And so he actually went to Cusco, which is, I don't even know how far it is. It was I don't know, a few hours-ish to Cusco, and he went there and he started peddling stuff in the streets. And whenever I was in Cusco, same thing. You're in the square, you're walking around, people are always trying to peddle something off to you. They're always trying to sell it. And he said, look, I had to do that. I have a family. We weren't going to eat again. We were going to die if I did not make money of some sort. But even trying to peddle stuff, even just whatever trinkets it was or things that he was trying to peddle, he couldn't even make enough money doing that because, again, the tourism of that whole area dropped completely too because, again, it's tied to Machu Picchu. So then he had to go work at a potato farm with his family, and that really didn't give them much except they got potatoes to eat. And he said it was probably about 7 months they basically just ate potatoes until they could finally, tourism started to come back, even just a small bit. And they went back to this little town and opened up the restaurant again. But even as I saw, he said, there's just not a lot of people still. They're trying to make it. He's trying to pay his people and give people a shot, but there still wasn't that many people. So I just mentioned that because even in the moments where I get frustrated, because I'm saying, come on, man, you ruining my great beach experience here, trying to peddle off all these sort of things. It just brought my mind back to this guy who, look, he was just trying to survive, and this was just a way for him to survive. Now, I'm not going to say that's what was happening here because I think things are a little bit different in Rio and specifically Copacabana because there's so many locals doing stuff here at the beach. But again, my perspective is so different having lived in America and expecting things a certain way. And I get such a perspective change and a challenge to my perspective when I come to these places and I see the situations and I hear the stories and I see real life people, because it's one thing to hear about the pandemic, let's say, ruining things for people and hurting people, just like it is in the States. But it's another completely whenever you come to these areas and you hear a guy and you see him and he says, look, I had to go just do whatever it took to provide for my family because there was nothing. If I don't make money, we don't eat, we die. That sort of thing. It's just crazy. And so it's just, I don't know. And then I hear all that and I see what's happening in Afghanistan. I saw all those images, people holding on to planes, trying the best they can to get out, just not wanting to be there with the Taliban, knowing what's going to come, knowing what's facing them in so many ways. It just, my heart goes, just blessed to be an American, to be from America. And look, we all have problems. Anywhere you go, there's problems. We have problems in America. Some of them we're coming to a reckoning with. Some of them we're working through. Some of them it'll take a lot longer, or maybe we don't even know about some of the things yet. But even still, man, any sort of different perspective shows us how blessed we really are, how great it is that if you are listening to this in America, that we are Americans. If you're listening to this elsewhere, which, oddly enough, there are some people who listen from Brazil, so shout out to you. I am in your home country right now and enjoying it so far. But it's just so great. And I just look around whenever I'm back in the States and some of the things that I still read, and we're so quick to just bash where we're from and the problems we have. And there are real problems, but any sort of perspective shows us that even with our problems, they're not that bad most of the time, considering what so many others are going through, what so many others are facing, and what is facing so many other places. So really, this is just another instance of, in my opinion, the importance of traveling, of getting out, of experiencing different things and getting different perspectives. Because if you only have the perspective of the States and maybe certain sides of the States and the divide that's currently there, you could consider it, oh, this is the worst, or oh, this thing can't happen or shouldn't happen. And it's just wrong. I mean, to hate on both sides, we'll start with those who lean more left. I mean, look, there's certainly some social issues that need reckoning with, but I mean, how could you look at Afghanistan and the realization that people are trying to get to leave that place, to get to a place like America, where they will have so many freedoms and stuff. And, that crazy picture and scene where these Afghani people are handing a baby to a Marine over a wall to try to get that baby out of there. It's just heartbreaking stuff. And so, yes, there's some things that need to be worked on and talked about and thought through. But as bad as you may think America is, I mean, people are trying to get here. Compared to other places, again, it doesn't mean we don't think through or change or work through that stuff. It's just, man, keep a proper perspective. Keep thinking about it. All that sort of stuff. And then on the other side, one thing that frustrates me on the right is this idea that so many people just don't want others from other countries and other areas to come to the States, to be able to immigrate here and settle down, especially even refugees, even though they have such need. And I think that's a shame, because so many of these people, man, they're just looking for a better life. They're just looking for that opportunity. And of course, I've talked about this before. What have we done to deserve to be born in America? Nothing. We were just born. We didn't do anything for it. Just we're blessed that that's how it went for us. And so I look at some of these people and I think, man, they're good people. They're hardworking. They're just trying to live and survive. And so nice. Again, so many people. And we just look at them and we're like, no, you look different. You act different. You're not American, so you don't get to do that. And I think it's a shame. I think that we should be looking to give refugees and other people from other countries opportunities to come here and make a living and experience this great country that we know and that we have for ourselves, because it truly is a great country. It's truly, we're truly blessed to have it. So that's a little my frustration with both sides of it. Yeah, things can change, but it's really not that bad in comparison to a lot of places. Again, Let's work on change. And on the other side, you can't just hunker down and like, well, we got to stop people from coming and all. No, look, again, I'm not saying you let maybe everybody in, but there's got to be a way to let people in, especially refugees and people who are in need, because, man, they deserve an opportunity. As many people deserve an opportunity as you can to experience the amazing life we get to have in America, our freedoms, just the safety, and even that safety net. I mean, that guy, he doesn't have a safety net where he's from where, oh, you don't have a job? Well, don't worry. We'll pay for all these sort of things. You can't pay your rent? And I don't know his rent situation or not rent situation. But, okay, well, the government will keep people from getting evicted and you'll be able to be okay and all that stuff. That doesn't exist in so many areas. And so, again, we're blessed. And as I'm slowly winding down this trip, it's just another reminder about how blessed I am to be in America. And as a Christian, you talk about religious persecution and the freedom we have, even though people may say things aren't trending the right way. Okay, fair enough. But again, there's just, you look at Afghanistan and what's going to become for so many Christians and missionaries and people there, and whether it be women or minorities or whatever it is, it's just going to take such a difficult turn. And so, anyway, ranting a little bit, but just wanted to record this episode on the road because it's a beautiful day outside. I'm in my room. I'm about to head up to the rooftop area to get some work done overlooking this beautiful thing. But it's just beautiful out here. And like almost every time I travel, I gain a new perspective. I'm able to see things a little differently, see a different side, experience all kinds of new stuff that helps me view the world a little differently. I love travel. Everyone should do it because this sort of stuff is important. But anyway, that's the end of my ranting and raving here on the road. Thanks for taking the time to listen. And however you're listening, I really appreciate it. But before I go, 3515, and I'll see you next time.